revealed the historical reasons why Black Americans cannot cope with poverty. Discrimination in access to wealth in recent decades has not been mitigated by new laws that secure the rights of minorities at work, the housing market, and in other areas of the economy, writes Bloomberg. The average Black family in the United States today has savings that are 7 times less than the average white family. The reasons for the gap in racial wealth are named, one of which is an echo of the slave system. Due to the fact that in 1865 the government did not keep promises to the freed slaves to give them 16 hectares of land, African American families were left empty-handed. This land would now collectively be worth about $3.1 trillion. Among the causes of inequality and racial suppression, the small wealth that Black families amassed after the Civil War was massacred in the 1921 riots in Oklahoma. In total, about 200 enterprises were destroyed, 10,000 Black residents were driven out of their houses. Alpine budget. They decided to give even more money to the North Caucasus.
Why didn't all the previous plans for its development work?
Let's argue. Banks promise Russians easy money. Why gullible customers rarely win. Generations of Black people in the United States have lost one of the indicators of well-being, their own home, due to living beyond the so-called red line.
Since the 1930s, Blacks have inhabited areas that banks deemed unreliable for mortgage lending.
The territories have been highlighted in red on the map. The law that infringed on Blacks in real estate rights was repealed in 1968. But this is still reflected in the level of wealth of ethnic minorities. Today, 75% of whites and less than half of Black families own their own homes in America.
Housing segregation in the early 1900s, when residents of the white neighborhoods were forbidden to sell their homes to Blacks,
added additional difficulties to the acquisition of housing. Even today, Blacks are 4 times more likely to live in very poor areas, and an African American man earns on average $900,000 less than a white man in his lifetime. All of the above makes it nearly impossible for Black Americans to accumulate savings. According to a U.S. government poll, in 2016, only 8% of Black Americans inherited an inheritance, versus 26% of whites. The problem of inequality of the Black population in comparison with the rest of the inhabitants of the country is about the same acute in the UK. The average size of the inheritance of a Black person there is $1.42 against $4,300 from a Briton. The gap between the poor and the rich is most felt in London, where more than half of the Black population of England and Wales live.